growing up in Grand Forks, what was that like? Because, I mean, I've been there one time, and like I think I told you this before, but man, I got a little nervous when I was driving there because I saw, right before I saw the Grand Forks exit, I saw a sign saying Canada was like less than 100 miles. I'm like, man, I think I done went the wrong way or something. Welcome to the Look Like Somebody podcast. I'm your host, Ricky C. Simmons. You know, I want to, before we even get started, I need to ask another favor of you guys. I need you guys to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that way you'll be able to be notified when we get ready to put out something new. You'll have a little heads up. This podcast is really about people and the different journeys of life that people go through. I like to tell the good, the bad, and the ugly, but the point I'm trying to make is at the end of the day, I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're a lost cause. And that's real important to me. So I go out and I search for guests to be on the show that's going to maybe share some information that a lot of people don't want to share for whatever reason, whether they're ashamed, afraid, whatever. But I want to find out how we can help people that are suffering in silence. Which brings me to my guest today. Let me tell you a little bit about this young lady before I bring her on. You know, this is only my second time ever being in her presence, but I will tell you this. Courage, brave, and transparent are the things that come to mind immediately. So, Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ricky.
Well, you're very welcome. And again, I just, before I even forget, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here. I know you have other things to do, but you're here. So, Ashley, I want this show to be about you and the trials and tribulations that you've had to endure and overcome. But we have, in order for us to really understand, or for the audience to understand, I want to go back. And anything that I say that's incorrect, feel free to correct me.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Grand Forks, North Dakota. I was born and raised there. My dad was military, so I started my life there.
Now, growing up in Grand Forks, what was that like? Because, I mean, I've been there one time, and like I think I told you this before, but man, I got a little nervous when I was driving there because I saw, right before I saw the Grand Forks exit, I saw a sign saying Canada was like less than 100 miles. I'm like, man, I think I done went the wrong way or something. But what was it like there?
It's cold. Yeah, it's different. It's a little bit of a slower lifestyle, but it's like, it's northern, so it's not like the southern lifestyle. It's real interesting. It wasn't my cup of tea whatsoever.
You didn't like it that much?
Not at all.
Okay. Well, the snow, I'll be honest with you, being a native Texan, I'm not a big fan of the snow, but you know where I ended up. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. You grew up there. You went to high school there, I'm taking it?
I did. I grew up there, went to high school, and met my high school sweetheart, which I married, and ended up having a baby at high school.
Okay.
My first. So, you know, like, just did that when he joined the military, and we started kind of doing life.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, when you say you had a baby in high school, what year were you? Do you remember? What year?
I found out at the beginning of my junior year, so I had him between my junior and senior year. So I had a baby my whole senior year.
Wow. Okay. And so you had to be a mom and a student.
Yep.
Wow. That couldn't have been easy.
No. I ended up graduating early to make it a little easier. I was smart, believe it or not, but I did graduate early. I only went for a few hours a day, and then I graduated a semester early so I could start working full-time. I was working full-time even while I was in school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was working as a nurse and stuff, in the evenings, and a student in the morning, and mom whenever I was able to. Like crazy. Like,
that sounds like quite a challenge because you're still a kid too. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm misunderstanding something, but most high school, to me, I probably shouldn't say that because a lot of high schoolers might disagree with me, but I just think when you're in high school, for the most part, you're still a kid.
I was, but I took on the responsibility, and I didn't want outside help. I did it on my own.
Gotcha.
I always wanted to be a mom and a wife. So this was nothing to me. Like, this was like just fast tracking it. I was now at what I prayed for and wanted as a child. So I just took it on, and I was like, I got to work. I got to support my son and everything else. And I just started working and doing all that and still finished.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. I want to go in another direction. After high school, what was next for Ashley?
It was the military. We started moving, and we ended up having a few more kids. We ended up with 3 at that point. So kind of just, being the mom, moving all over, supporting, my husband at the time, and letting him do his career, and just, living life.
Now, when you say doing life, you had 3, at this time you got 3 kids, and y'all are moving a lot. Where are some of the places that y'all stayed?
Texas, Mississippi, Oklahoma was where we were stationed last. Kind of went all actually it's kind of crazy. We went right down I-29 from North Dakota.
Okay, gotcha.
But then at the same time, we did do a few places off that, but it was just more or less that was where we were, like, longer periods of time.
Okay. Going from Grand Forks to, where was the first stop? Texas?
We went to Texas, Mississippi, yeah.
Okay, what was Texas like for you? Be kind now. I'm a Texas guy, so what was Texas like? Oh, you can be honest.
It was shocking.
What do you mean by that?
It's different in the South, and that is South, and it was just it was different. And I'll say this, in North Dakota, there's just not a mix of races up there. Mm-hmm. It's literally just Norwegian white. And so it was we now got to experience different cultures, different foods and stuff like that we weren't used to. And it was just a shock.
When you say shock, go into detail. What was it? What was really different for you in Texas? What was probably the most difficult thing?
There wasn't anything that was really difficult. It was just kind of experiencing different cultures.
Right. So in other words, you went from pretty much one thing to something that was almost completely opposite. Mm-hmm. Well, see, and that's a good point. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I think our society, sometimes we get in our own little circle or our own little bubble, and that's all we know. Mm-hmm. And there's no debating it. There's this is how it is. You're making up stuff if you're saying it's not like this, and that ain't the case. So you got a chance to see firsthand the difference between North Dakota and Texas.
Oh, 100%.
Really different for you.
Yeah. What we read in books and then what I actually got to experience in real life was completely a shock.
Really?
Of just racism and all that. And I never experienced any of that until I moved or got into the South.
So the whole time you was in North Dakota, you never really saw racism? Mm-mm. And you saw it for the first time in Texas?
Texas and Mississippi, yeah. Thick.
Wow. Sometimes when I have conversations, or private conversations. I don't care so much for doing them publicly, but I've talked to people that have had similar situations because it's they can't really understand what it's like growing up in the South. Mm-hmm. And truth be told, I'm not saying it's not difficult wherever you grow up or wherever you grew up, but until you see this firsthand, it's almost it can't be as bad as you say.
Oh, it is. It is.
Well, and I personally know it, but I go out of my way to make sure that I don't try to convince people that didn't grow up in the South, because it's not fair, and when I say not fair, it's I equate that to, you can tell me how to do brain surgery, but I wouldn't trust me to do brain surgery. You know what I mean? You can show me all the videos or give me all the books to read to do brain surgery, but I'm not a brain surgeon. You know, and I equate that to growing up in the South. Until you go and experience it, there's really no way for you to understand when you say racism. People don't really quite get it, especially if they're from a different place that did, like you said, you never experienced it.
Not at all.
You know, see, to me, that's amazing because growing up, I never knew anything other than that. You know, that was kind of like at the forefront. So I was always prepared for it. And I always made sure that I kept myself in a position to where I could avoid as much of it as possible. So you get down to Texas, y'all stay there for a period of time, and then you say you went to Mississippi. Now, what was Mississippi like?
Okay. That's where I really experienced racism, but feels like you are taken back in time, honestly, and it's crazy.
Give us some examples.
That was the first time I actually heard like the N-word used.
Okay.
Ever. And it was so casually used. And it was in the sense of being derogatory. It wasn't like, you know.
It wasn't a compliment.
It wasn't like, this is my brother. This was, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, it was just, I really felt like I was taken back. So I wasn't in real life anymore because I was just like, this is still here.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to make any excuses for it. I'm just going to say I totally understand because, like I said, you know, a lot of times people want to say, you know, well, this is 2025. Things are different now. They are not. I don't think they've changed a whole lot. I think we've learned as a society how to be more politically correct, but that's only in the public's eye. When you get one-on-one and it's, you know, a private setting, it's pretty much still the same.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know, now you were in Mississippi, stayed there for a little bit, then you wind up in Oklahoma?
Yep.
What was Oklahoma like for you?
I actually didn't really mind it. It was like a little bit warmer North Dakota.
Okay.
So there wasn't like a lot to do there because it was just a military-based town. Like it was Enid, Oklahoma. I mean, I really didn't mind it. Good schools and everything. So, you know, like there it felt really like we were still in North Dakota. Honestly,
okay.
It wasn't any different.
So Oklahoma was a little more to something you were used to.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at this time, you're still married to the guy that you got you have the 3 kids with, right? Okay. What was next?
He got injured in the military, so he was medically retired, and we moved up to Bellevue and built a house. About that time, I started realizing we were not in love. It was just like we were roommates, we were best friends, and like we were like that idea of being high school sweethearts and trying, you know, to continue. We had grown up. We had grown out of that. Like we were just like, I don't know. We weren't anything. We experienced life together. We went through a lot of ups and downs and stuff, but we were just not. I just one day looked at him. I'm like, I'm not in love with you. So I left.
You left? What do you mean?
I went and got a divorce. I filed for a divorce and was like, I'm going to do this on my own with my kids, and I want you to find love. I want to find love, and just up and left. I didn't want to hold him back because I was like, I don't want to hold myself back either.
Right.
Like, I was like, this isn't somebody I love. That's not fair to be in this. It's not fair to continue this. Like, I want my boys to see, because it's 3 boys. I wanted my 3 boys to see love because I wanted them to repeat that.
Right, I got you. Now, when you left him, you were staying in Oklahoma. Oh, no, you were in Nebraska. Okay, let me make sure. I'm trying to keep my facts straight. So after you left him, what was next in your life?
I realized how hard life was. I tried, having my 3 on my own, and I didn't want help, from him. So I tried doing everything. I've always been independent. I've always been like, I don't need help. I got this. Like, that was why, when I became pregnant as a teen, I just wouldn't let my parents help. I wouldn't let anybody help us. Same thing with when I got divorced. I was like, I'm not letting you help. So I started going down, and like, I couldn't make ends meet anymore. And at that exact time, I met a guy
Okay.
and he was like, just move in with me. And I was like, okay. So I did.
So when you moved in with this guy, how long have you known him for a long time, or you?
2 days.
Oh, wow. 2 days. You must have been in a hurry to get something done.
It was a very, very bad situation I was in. I was in a really bad apartment. I was having financial issues and everything else. This is not something I'm proud of. I've taken ownership and accountability for it, that I made a bad decision. It was a choice I made, but I was going down very quickly.
Okay.
And so he came in, knight in shining armor, and he's like, I can help you. Like, just, come.
So, I mean, help comes in mysterious ways, so I can see that. You saw it as an opportunity to help your kids and yourself to try to rebuild your life, is what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. How did it turn out for you?
Ended up getting married. Well, we ended up getting pregnant right away. Long story on that one, but got pregnant. We ended up losing that one, but we had already gotten engaged.
Okay.
And decided to continue on getting married and everything, and then had 3 kids together. We had several losses though, so I'll explain that one, because my roses on my arm, there's 6 red roses. That's for my 6 kids, and then I also have 5 that are black and gray, and those are the 5 losses I had. I had 5 babies I lost.
Wow.
So we went through a lot of stuff, just everything. But I'll get into, like, it didn't go well. I found out later that he was a narcissist, and with that, he used the knight in shining armor to get me in and trap.
Got you. And, I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're talking to a person that doesn't know a lot about that topic, but I'm very, very open-minded to learning, because in my personal opinion, when you're not learning, I think life kind of stops for you. So let's just jump into that part, man. I mean, the narcissistic stuff. Tell me about that, because I know a lot of people that are listening, they have heard the term, but they don't understand the seriousness.
I think it's getting overused too. So I very cautiously walk into saying narcissism, because it is getting overused. People don't like taking accountability, and so they just they're like, oh, they're a narcissist and stuff. So I feel like it's kind of getting muddied on the actual term of what it is. But I mean, with narcissism, I was brought in with the knight in shining armor image. He made his image to everybody else perfect, and what happened behind closed doors was the complete opposite. That's when the abuse started. That's when just everything. I got the trauma bond, the classic trauma bond to the person that's doing everything. Like, it was scary. But nothing I did was right. I couldn't ever do anything right, but of course I had to worship the ground he was on. I remember he said to me, he's like, I'm God's greatest gift. And I just sat there like, and he was dead serious. Like, he felt he was God's greatest gift.
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny now. Like I say, I'm still trying to learn this and understand this too. But the last time I checked, no one, especially me, is nowhere near perfect.
Yep.
So that statement of being God's perfect gift?
God's greatest gift.
God's greatest gift. Okay, I can't say that. I mean, who am I to judge? But I don't agree with that for any human, because I think as humans, we all got flaws. And I got enough flaws for just about everybody I know. So I'm very qualified to say I don't agree with this, you're special. Mm-hmm. And basically, that's how I take it. You're trying to say you're better than everybody else.
Untouchable.
Yeah, see? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish it. Go ahead now.
So, yeah, it took a while to get there because they start by love bombing you and bringing you, like the Knight in Shining Armor was how I got into it, and the love bombing, and then it's like as you get the attachment, it's like a switch. And then they kind of start going into like isolation. So taking me away from friends, family, all that, and so that they can have control. And it's a process. It takes a long time, and they're very good at it. But on the outside, everything's picture perfect.
Well, let me ask you this. When you say it takes a while, what do you consider a while? I mean, how long did it take for you to even realize that you were in this situation?
I kind of realized it probably it was years in.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't right away. And I found myself making excuses for him. As a woman, we like to nurture. So I kept saying, like, he needs love. Like, I just need to love him back to whole. Like, I got this. I can do this. Like, I took it as a challenge.
Like you were going to fix him or something.
Yeah. I was like, I can do this. I can love him to where he will love himself, because the part of him that was missing is what he's taking out on me. Like, narcissism is crazy because they pick great victims. It's not a weak person. It's a strong person that they don't want others to see as strong or desirable or any of that. And they take what they're missing and like chip away at that person so that they look like they have it and feel better about themselves, yet they are taking that person down.
Okay. I have no right to question or doubt what you're saying. I guess my question is, do they realize what they're doing? Or is this just something that person does?
I don't know that they realize what they're doing.
Is that what you think?
I don't know. I can't get into the mind of somebody because I would never do what they do.
Right. Well, and that's kind of why I said that, because me personally, no offense, but if I have a change of heart, that's the best way I can word this, toward a person, chipping away and trying to make them feel less than is not even on my radar. What is on my radar is, as soon as I know, they're going to know, and we're going to part ways, and that way we both have a chance to go on with our lives. I think that would be the best solution. I'm very fascinated with the fact that a person can be doing this to someone else, and I still don't buy that they don't know what they're doing.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and I understand you can't get in people's mind. I get that. But I like to think that we all know right from wrong. I would like to think that. Mm-hmm. That's just my personal take on that. But I'm still just having a very difficult time understanding why would you even want to do that to another person when, hey, I mean, if you don't get along, then I get it. That happens. That's called life. Separate. Mm-hmm. Go your own way. Let them go their way. And live to fight another day, if that makes sense. But you went on, you start noticing this. Now, explain to me, or explain to everybody, your take on when you noticed it and how you dealt with it.
Once I realized what was happening, I was too deep. But so I was starting to break. I had no friends, my family wasn't around, and I was completely dependent on them. So breaking this was going to be very difficult. But what I did was I kept thinking I could repair it. I could fix him. And if I did this, he'll change and he'll love himself and he'll stop doing this to me and he'll stop abusing and stuff, because it was all around everything. Now we weren't just doing verbal abuse, we're doing physical abuse now. And like we're having, like, it was escalating and escalating and escalating, getting worse every single day. Every single day.
That had to be, and this is an understatement, but that had to be tough. Because you meet this person and you really start your life over with this person. You have kids with them, and then all of a sudden you start noticing all these changes. And these changes basically sounds like to me now, like I say, please feel free to correct me, but it sounds like all of a sudden your value was no longer what it was when y'all met. Is that what I'm getting? So, because your value diminished in their eyes, then you have to take a punishment, but it's a gradual punishment. So it's kind of like you're not even aware of why it's happening, but while it's happening. And so when you finally get to the point to where you realize that this is not working, what was next?
I was already starting to plan kind of like my escape, because I knew I was to the point where he had gotten so deep into my head of just being like, you're not worth anything. Nobody's ever going to love you. Like, you're trash. Like nobody's going to accept that you now have 6 kids. Like, you cannot make it without me. I am God's greatest gift and you need me. Like, he had like everything. Like, I wasn't skinny enough. I wasn't pretty enough. Like, he beat me down, looks, like everything. Like, the fears that as somebody going out there has, like, am I going to make it with 6 kids? Like, is this even possible? So I was completely broken and had actually accepted that I was probably not going to make it out. Like, I was going to die. Like, he's going to kill me. And I started preparing evidence because I started recording him. I kept like screenshots of everything and started to hide it in random spots, because then if he did succeed, they would know it was him, because he, of course, on the outside, he had this perfect image and nobody would believe me. Like, they were not going to believe me. And I had covered up for so many years, like where I'd gotten bruising and stuff like that, that nobody knew it was because of him.
So you not only had emotional abuse, you had physical abuse. Wow. I mean, go ahead. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what you said.
So I had accepted it. I prepared I was going to die. And that was like the moment where I was like, my kids started really seeing everything. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, where are they going to go? Because like, I knew my other 3, they'll go to their dad, but like, I was hopeful with my planting of evidence that, my younger 3's dad was going to get locked up. That was my thing, was I was like, if I'm gone, he needs to be locked up. I hope somebody takes him that's good. Like, and I didn't know who it was going to be, because I, of course, don't have contact really with my family.
So he basically separated you from all of your family and friends. Is that what I'm hearing? Wow. Isolation. Okay. Go ahead.
So as it got worse and worse, we did officially separate, like, and he didn't want anybody to know about it. I wasn't allowed to talk about it, because he had not accepted it. He wasn't going to let me go. He just appeased me by saying, we are separated, we're going to live together in all this. And we did. And we were like roommates, and he did his own thing. And, I just was a mom. I just stayed home, was a mom, and was planning, like, trying to find a job, trying to figure out how I was going to make everything work, try to find, like, a place to go, trying to figure it all out to how I'm going to support these 6 kids on my own. Because now this was, like, you know, my job to figure out. And with him gone all the time, it was real easy. I had the ability to kind of just do what I needed to do and prepare. He found out, and the reality kind of, I think, set in, and he had tried to kill me.
Ooh, wow. Okay, go ahead. I'm just listening right now because I don't really have a comeback for these type stories because to me they're just foreign, you know. But please go ahead.
So at this point, like, I remember going to the hospital and everything else because by the grace of God, one of my younger 3 kids were there and saw everything, witnessed it all. And they walked out because he had told them to go into, like, a back room. And they had walked out, and he was over me after he had pushed me down. And they were like, just sitting there staring. They're like, Dad, stop. Because they, like, were right there. And he stopped, because when somebody attacks you, it's the craziest thing. It's like they're not there anymore. Their eyes turn black. It's really weird. And it's very hard, because I've dealt with him before. When he would get that way, it's very hard to talk him down. So I just always went silent, because there's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can do. It's almost like the screaming makes him, like, more intense. Like, it's like a bigger thrill for him or something. Like, he enjoyed seeing me cry. He enjoyed seeing me scream. Like, I would just go silent, because it usually meant the beating was less. But my kids were the ones that triggered him to stop.
So he was doing this in front of your kids?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, go ahead. I'm just listening.
So after all that, you know, I did everything by the book. I did follow through with going to trial and everything, it's unique. I heard statistics from the officers. They were like, immediately they started talking to me, and they're like, you got to pursue the charges and do this, because they're so used to, and women or even men are not, they can be abused too, that they back down. The victims back down. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you have got to do this. Like, you are on the last level. Like, this is, like, he didn't succeed this time. He will not miss next time. They're like, you are at the top level of abuse. He will not, like, miss it. You are going to be, like, killed. And I was like, so I did. And that was the hardest thing, because I'll go into that. It's just the fact that I was a victim, but I had to defend being a victim.
What do you mean by defend being a victim?
I would have people be like, what did you do to cause him to do this? It was flipped, completely flipped on me. And I was like, what? Like, it just, so here I am. My kids saw this, they're healing. I have my healing to go through, and I have to go through a trial, which is hard. And I'm being blamed and having to defend my victim side.
I would think your kids viewing it or witnessing it would pretty much be all the proof you need.
No, the justice system is not justice. It's just the legal system. So whoever has the most money is going to win. And his lawyer went on this side that I had counseled my 4-year-old kids to say what they saw. Within timeline of what happened, I took 2 of my kids with me to the hospital, and he took off with 1. And said I was never going to see him again, and left. When he was arrested, it was a few hours had passed. I had witnesses in the hospital room with me. I had officers standing outside the door because he was at large and he had a weapon with him. and just all this. Everybody was there. Everybody saw that I was not really talking to my kids. I was a mess. I was getting seen. I had a concussion. I had other stuff going on. So they were taking care of me. I actually almost to the point, if he wouldn't have been at large, I probably would have sent my kids with somebody just so that they didn't have to watch that and be there, because it's not really a place for kids when you have officers standing outside the door, all this other stuff going on. I had picked up our other son after they had got him. That night, I went home. It was midnight. They went straight to bed. They were already pretty much asleep, dealing with all this. The next morning, my first husband came and picked up my kids and took them.
Okay.
So I never even got to talk to them, my kids at all. I just said goodbye and started to prepare, because I really wasn't sure what was going to happen next, and kind of just have a breather. I didn't see them for a good day, and then I got them back, because by then that's when the authorities wanted to interview them and take their statements and stuff like that. And in that time, apparently, I was coaching them. They weren't even around me.
They were with your first husband.
Yep.
But the next day, according to the authorities, you were coaching your kids.
Yeah.
And they weren't even in the same space with you.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
They were dealing with their grief and telling. Actually, the crazy part is they told my ex what happened. They had to hear about it from them. Because we were he has other kids, my older 3 with him, but then also he was remarried and stuff, and she had kids, and we were trying really hard not to let the kids know what was going on, but mine told everybody.
Gotcha. Well, actually, I'm gonna say this. I mean, the reason why I'm so interested in this is because, first of all, I think the audience need to understand, because I got this weird feeling while you were talking that you're not an isolated case. I think there's a lot of people that are actually suffering in silence.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I can't prove that. I have no stats or no data or nothing, but just common sense. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people, male and female, that are dealing with something real similar to what you're talking about. And that's another reason why I wanted you on today, because I want you to do just what you're doing. I want you to be transparent, because I want to show people that life is full of adversity. And a lot of times we judge people, especially when we initially first meet them, we judge them on what we see. And I got to be honest, I'm guilty of that as well. I think the first time I saw you, I had no idea that you had been through this. The appearance says everything's been great for you, and especially all the things that you've accomplished since then. So if a person only knows the good, they don't have any way of knowing the bad, and that's why I wanted you to be transparent, because I just think that it's important that, I don't know who this will help, but I believe it will help a lot of people, or I hope that it will help a lot of people, because to admit and to be accountable, which is things I've heard you say, I think that's very important too, because the one thing I remember you saying in our previous conversation was you had to take accountability.
Yep.
Could you talk about that part?
Yeah, because a lot of people will ask, how, why, just everything, and I was like, I picked it. I didn't see it until it was too late, and then I was already in too deep. But at the same time, I had to forgive myself and heal myself so that I didn't pick it again. Because, it's easy to fall back into it. People put on great masks and pretend to be something else until it's too late. And the way that narcissists work It's slow. And they are calculated.
Almost methodical, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm not trying to minimize what you're saying, but from the outside looking in, it almost looks like it's a game/challenge to the person that's actually doing this. Remorse. I think remorse is what I'm wondering. Do they have remorse for what they do, you think? If you had to guess. I know you can't get into the mind, but
No.
No remorse. You don't
It
think?
didn't happen.
Wow.
And if it did, it was my fault. Which I've gotten both of those.
So
One, it never happened, but if it did, it was my fault. Because it's never a narcissist's fault.
they never accept accountability,
Nope.
or you've never had them accept.
Nope.
Wow. I hope everybody's listening to this, because I know this is one person telling their truth, but I just believe there's more than one person dealing with this.
Oh, there's a lot. I have people reach out to me all the time because I am very open about it, because I made the vow to be the woman I needed back in the day, and I knew I felt alone. So I needed to make sure that I didn't ever turn my back or not listen if somebody else needed it. So I speak my truth, and I know because I've had people tell me that it helps them, or it helps them leave, or it makes them feel less alone. Because that's the biggest thing, is you feel completely alone because you're isolated from everybody.
Wow. I'm learning a lot. I guess my next question to you is, when you finally figured everything out and you started this journey that you're currently on, explain to us that process.
Goodness. I'm the type of person that when I go through something or somebody doubts me, I take it as a challenge.
Okay.
So I had to do a lot of healing, and God ain't done with me yet. Like, I still got more to go. I fully admit that. There's times where I get set back or I go back into something toxic because you're in survival mode for so long.
Right.
That you do things like learn these behaviors and stuff that you have to unlearn. And it takes unraveling. It's peeling back a bunch of layers of that onion. But after that, I took everything and every promise that he made and didn't deliver, I did it. So I went and got my passport. I went overseas. I went by myself too. Everything, I bought a house. I bought a car. Like, everything he said, he had promised me, because I wasn't allowed to have nice stuff. He would go get himself nice stuff, but I had to earn it, and I never did get to earn it, because they dangle it in front of you, and they keep pulling it and pulling it and pulling it, so you're constantly chasing something that you'll never get.
It's like putting a carrot out in front of you, and you're pursuing that carrot.
Yep. Never good enough, never enough, never going to have it.
Wow. Well, I think the fact that no one ever admitted or took accountability for what they did in your life, I think that's a tragedy within itself. However, I am very proud of you, and I'd like to shift to that, all the positive things that you're doing. Could you share some of the positive things that's going on in your life? I know that this is never forgotten. I know that this is an ongoing deal. But since you walked away from this last situation, share with us some of the positive things that has happened in your life and that is still happening.
I get to help people. I have found roles and my purpose to help others. Whether it be speaking my story or just breathing positivity into them, and just reminding others that what you surround yourself with, you become. So, like, putting positivity out there, you become it If you sit there and put out negative and are always complaining, that's what's going to happen, negative. So I really push positivity and helping others. I mean, like I said, I bought a house, I bought a car, I started traveling. My kids are they're doing amazing. Like, it was like a light switch. I had even their teachers be like, I have never seen like this child do this, and they're just thriving all of a sudden. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I know. I ensured that. I worked with them. I healed them. I worked with their healing journey.
Gotcha. Now, and this part, I think I've seen some of it on social media where some of the things that you're involved with. Share some of the things that I think it's got something to do with dance.
Yeah. I went back to my roots. I started when I was 3 and taught. I danced everything and like did years of teaching, and I left because I won't say which one, but one of my husbands did not like it. They didn't like the attention it brought, and then like me doing something for myself. So I left, and I recently went back to it, and I'm a head coach out at college and a head dance coach, and then I'm a head instructor at a studio. See, so I get to work with a lot of little girls and older girls all the way up to college and helping them.
See, to me, that's a huge part of the comeback. This is what I wanted people to understand. You just heard she was very open about all the trials and tribulations that life has to offer. She had a choice. She could say, you know what, throwing the towel in, this ain't worth it, and I quit, I give up. But like a lot of my guests in the past, you have the same desire that a lot of my guests have, which is we're not giving up. I mean, giving up is not an option. I can relate to not giving up because personally, I know I had the options to give up as well, so I can relate to that. I use a lot of humor and Rickyisms that we call them. We done named them Rickyisms. But my quit button broke, and I don't know how to quit, and I won't quit until God says different. But it sounds to me like your quit button broke as well, and I'm very, very excited to hear that and to get back to doing what you do. And, you know, buying your own house, buying a nice car, taking care of your kids, helping them with their healing process. Those are huge things. You know, another one of my Rickisms is keep doing big things. You know, I look at those as big things. You know, the average person may look at it as, well, that's just what you're supposed to do. Well, yeah, I guess to a certain degree that might have some value, but can you do that after going through what you went through? I've seen people give up for much less, and I'm sure you have as well. But I'm just really, really the type of person that I just like to say it publicly that I'm proud of you for the fact that you didn't throw in the towel and give up. I think our society sometimes, not always, but sometimes we feel it's just easier to give up. But to keep going, it takes courage. And that's what I think I'm witnessing right now. Courage, because, I mean, first of all, let's just be real about it. It's real easy to point the finger and say who's wrong, who's right, whatever, da-da-da-da. But the one thing I think courage is when you're able to own it, accept it, even if it ain't something you created, but you take accountability for being in that situation. So I really, really, really admire that, and I think that's a very positive thing. If a person wanted to reach out to you, just out of curiosity, what is one of the ways, or how can people reach out to Ashley?
You can easily find me on social media. Like, I'm big into my social media because it reaches so many people without limits.
Gotcha. Now, you do something else. Now, I remember seeing an ad about a cigar or something.
Yeah.
What's up with the cigars? Tell us about the cigars.
Oh my gosh, I got into cigars and I love it. So I do cigar modeling and I work with Harsh Cigars and Pipes. I do their media. I love it. I love that vibe. The people, it's amazing.
I know a lot of my friends do cigars too. Unfortunately, I can't breathe in cigars. So
I can't always either.
yeah, I mean, I don't knock people that smoke cigars. Please don't get that. But I personally, after smoking cigarettes for 35 years and not smoking them for the last 16 years, I don't know what it is, but man, it's like smoke does me bad. Mm-hmm. So, but a lot of my friends do it, and occasionally I'll go golfing, and they're on the golf course smoking.
Of course.
And it doesn't bother me. I just have to make sure I'm sitting in a place where the wind's blowing away from me, because, like I said, I think everybody has the right to be who they want to be. But no, I just noticed that looking at some of your social media posts, I was like, this young lady be busy. She be modeling for cigars and do the dance thing. I mean, I just think that the more positive things you can do, I think the more everybody around you, it benefits them. Mm-hmm. I just want you to, before I forget to ask you this, I need for you to tell me or give some advice to someone that is out there dealing with people you have just described, your exes, so to say, if they happen to find themselves in that situation.
You have to stop letting them talk to you. You literally have to tune them out, because it's the words that get you and beat you so far down that you can't surface and breathe that air. You're so far underwater. So you got to drown it out. Don't let them talk to you. Start there. You are not alone. You are not alone. Like, their words are to keep you alone, so you got to stop listening to it, because that probably was the first step for me, was to stop listening to them.
So when you're living with them, though, how is that possible? I guess is my question.
I went to social media. I started realizing what he said wasn't aligning with what others were saying. I did a modeling shoot. I was a model and did just photos, and when the photographer turned the camera around, it was unedited too, and I looked at it and I was like, is that me? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, that is not the image I saw in myself. When I looked in the mirror, I saw what he said, and here it was on the camera, this beautiful person, and I was like, that's not me. And she's like, yeah, it is. So the process of, you had mentioned earlier about chipping away at your self-esteem, I'm assuming. And like I say, I'm paraphrasing because I've never lived it, but where they chip away at the things that make you feel good about yourself. Yeah. You won't be able to look in the mirror and see the real reflection, because you end up seeing what they've told you to see.
So when you say, when you make the comment, they get into your head, you really literally mean that?
Yeah.
Wow. Whoa. I mean, that's pretty deep, because like I said earlier, I'm on the outside looking in, and I'm not disrespecting or downplaying anything you've said, because I personally haven't experienced it. But I find it tough to understand what it's like to have someone make you not feel good about yourself. But they're really good at it, apparently, because you're not the only one that's suffering from this. I just hope people are out there listening, and I just hope people understand that this is real. I don't wish this on anyone, but the fact that it's real, I just think it needs to be talked about. Mm-hmm. I will ask you to share with us, once you do get, I'm not saying past it, because I think it's something that goes on and on that you continue to work on, but once you remove that person from your life, what are some of the main things you can do to kind of start rebuilding?
You have to focus in on yourself first. You really have to rebuild yourself from scratch and learn who you are and forgive yourself, because you're never going to get an apology from them. And that's huge. You just accept that you're not going to get it and start forgiving yourself and rebuilding yourself, rebranding yourself. I call it rebranding because I think I like the word better. But like really rebuilding myself and becoming who I wanted to be, not who he told me to be, literally figuring out myself and deciding who I wanted to be. I took my pen back. I started writing my own story.
Wow. Great advice. Because, see, when you hear from a guy like me that's on the outside looking in, I can't offer that kind of advice because I really don't know. But me personally, I've just never even knew how to address something like that because it was things I'd heard, but really wasn't sure that they were true. But I've heard it from a couple of people now, that have shared their stories with me. And it's a real thing. But you just turned it back into a positive. And I know it's an ongoing thing. I mean, it's probably, I'm guessing now, but it's probably got like me with my addiction. I'm coming up here in the next 2 months. I'll have 16 years clean and sober. But I'm so far from even beginning to think that I'm cured because I understand that it's a day-by-day process. Is that something real similar to what you're doing?
Yeah, I'll have triggers every once in a while where I'll go, like, it's not, you'll find bad things within yourself where you still need to work on. You'll have moments where you get real low. You have, the words will seep back in. You get low. And then you'll have the dreams and memories of everything that will pop up that set you back a little bit. So you constantly are repairing that and making sure your foundation is good constantly.
So it's an ongoing process.
100%.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from it. I mean, the only similarities I can pull from that is addiction and what you're dealing with. They have a common denominator is we work on it daily from now on. Well, again, Ashley, I just want to say thank you. I mean, thank you for your courage. Thank you for your transparency. I really believe we're going to help a lot of people with this show. I want to encourage everybody that's listening to do me one favor. Please take what we're saying to heart with an open mind. I bring these shows to you with the thoughts of helping people. I love helping people. I know helping people doesn't sound very popular. There's not a lot of reward, but I feel like on the inside you can help yourself along with helping others. Again, thank you for being a guest today. And we're going to wrap this show up the same way I do every week. Every day you blessed to see, you look like somebody, and you do that for yourself. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification button. I need y'all to know that we're doing big things here. Again, thank you all for taking time out to check out the show. And we'll see you next week. Y'all have a great day.